All right, speaking of being hot, let's get into this next subject. No pressure, no diamonds. Pressure is a privilege, I like to say, for those 12 quarterbacks playing in this year's playoffs, including Matty Ice, who isn't trying to feel the heat in his 5th playoff appearance. He's 1-4 in his previous 4 appearances, losing in the NFC title game in 2012.
We've won in the playoffs before, so I don't really worry about that too much. For me, it's about, how do we get the one win, next week, whoever it's going to be against. I think, putting any more pressure on yourself other than that is a waste of time. And, so I think that's probably one of the things that I've learned is that all the extracurricular pressure, the outside noise, the stuff that people talk about doesn't make a difference.
I call him Matty Ice for a reason. Max, interesting question here. Which quarterback has the most pressure in these playoffs?
Ready for this one?
Oh, no.
The answer is clearly Tom Brady.
Stop it.
What?
Stop
That's right.
It. You've lost your damn mind.
That's right.
Tom
You
Brady
need to be
runs
tested.
the playoffs?
That's right.
With all the Super Bowl rings?
Yep.
What does that man need to prove?
I was getting ready to say security, but security ain't the one that gets people to go get there. You need to
Max,
get a urine test right now.
I'll prove it to you right now.
Something wrong with you.
Are you guys scared to hear the argument? Just tell the truth. Sounds like you're scared to hear the argument.
You can't just drop that as once and just allow us a moment to pause. I'm saying allow us a moment to pause.
Okay, go ahead. Pause.
We shouldn't be surprised at this point.
Tom Brady has the most 4-time Super Bowl champion. That dude, 6-time Super Bowl appearances, 6 Super Bowl appearances. That dude?
Yes.
If security could take you to be tested, I would be calling for them right now. Go ahead. This is unbelievable.
To start this season, who did everyone think was going to come out like a house on fire to prove Goodell wrong about the suspension? Tom Brady.
Yes.
Who, as usual, was favored to come out of the AFC among the favorites? The New England Patriots. Do you know what the playoff odds are right now? Think about this for a second. Take a guy like, we just talked about, Matt Ryan. 7-2 against, they get out of the NFC. 7-2 against. You know what the odds are for the Patriots getting to the Super Bowl? What do you think the odds are? They're not the odds-on favorites, Will, Stephen A., Molly. They're not the odds-on favorites, meaning they have the best odds to get there, but it's under a 50-50 proposition that they do it. The odds makers are saying now, the odds are they are 2-1 favorites to get out of the AFC East. They are 2-1 favorites against the field. That is absurd, overwhelming odds, NFL odds for the playoffs. It's rare. It's ridiculous. 2-1 favorites against the field. If you don't get there, you messed up. The pressure is on that team and that quarterback. They're going to get there, but what if they don't? Therefore, the pressure's on them. Or is the pressure on the underdog or the favorites?
I don't know who needs a restraining order. Tom Brady against you or you against Patriots fans. This is going to be bad. This is going to be ugly.
Him against Patriots fans. He's a New Yorker.
There's more pressure.
You need to take a trip to Foxborough.
I want to state the record. I find you. I mess with you in the whole bit. I'm proud of you. I love you too. And you smart as hell. I find this to be the absolute most ignorant argument you have ever made.
That a 2-1 favorite has more pressure than a 4-1 underdog?
You got to be crazy.
I'm with Stephen A. I'm with Stephen A. It's the most ignorant thing you might have said on this show.
Unbelievable.
This just proves that I'm right.
You know what? It might be
I don't hear any counter arguments.
Well, here it comes.
Give me a counter argument.
Here it comes. You ready? I'm just kind of building up here with a little bit of television tension. But first, can you repeat the question for us?
Television tension. Yes. Who's going to face the most pressure? Which quarterback?
I'm sorry. What word was that again in the middle?
Which quarterback will face the most pressure?
Pressure.
Yes.
Oh, okay, because the way Max answered the question, you think it would have said, which quarterback has the highest expectations?
Oh, that doesn't create pressure.
You have conflated the word expectation with pressure. Tom Brady, yes, the expectations are high. I wonder, do you think he's ever done it before? Do you think he's ever met expectations before? How many games have the Patriots won over the last decade? Have they averaged
well, what does that have to do with meeting high expectations?
10, 11,
that creates pressure.
12, 13, 14 games a year. How many Super Bowl championships? 4. Yeah. I'd say he's well prepared for being more than the odds-on favorite to.
How does that mean that you don't face pressure?
Pressure is something entirely different from expectations. Pressure is something.
Expectations create pressure.
Partially. You know what else does? Load and risk. Is the game on your shoulders? Are you the one that has to win the game? That's why a rookie like Dak Prescott is not under pressure, because it's not on him to win the game. Secondarily, and more important, risk. What's the downside if you lose? You think Tom Brady's going to lose his job? That's actually an honest question for you, because you say he's falling off a cliff. Does Tom Brady lose his job in the next year?
Of course not.
So there's no pressure.
Of course there is. Tom Brady, the stakes are higher for him than anyone else. He is considered, by me and others, the greatest quarterback of all time. He just served Deflategate suspension. There were lawsuits involved. He wanted the Supreme Court to decide it for some reason, a football situation. It was a major national scandal. He has something to prove. He has a defense this year. They're 2-1 favorites to get to the Super Bowl. If he fails, that's a big deal.
I want to let you in, but here's the answer to who has the most pressure. It's Brock Osweiler. The guy has nothing to win and everything to lose. He's already lost his job once. Now he comes back in and he knows nobody wants him there, and he's playing with all the assets on his side. The best defense in the NFL.
He's playing for a job.
And he's playing in a favorable matchup against Connor Cook. He's playing for his job. If he loses to the Oakland Raiders, it's all over for Osweiler.
I got you.
Brady's a totally different story.
Both of you are wrong, but you're on another stratosphere.
I am on another stratosphere. You're right about that.
I just respectfully disagree with your position, and here's why. Matt Ryan is the guy that is under the most pressure. Matt Ryan has been tinkering around second tier for a long time. Matt Ryan is considered a leading candidate for league MVP honors, passing for nearly 5,000 yards, 38-7 in terms of an interception, touchdown interception ratio. Quarterback rating of 117, QBR of 85. The Atlanta Falcons win the division. Lots of expectations. And here's where we go awry. Because the same Matt Ryan that's 85 and 57 in regular season games has one playoff victory on his resume. He beat Seattle years ago, lost in the NFC Championship game to San Francisco. Jim Harbaugh and those boys. Passing yards, he goes down in the playoffs. Touchdown to interception ratio 2-1 in the regular season, 1-3 in the postseason. Total QBR drops about 7 points come playoff time. You look at it, thrown multiple interceptions in 3 of 5 playoff games, okay? He's thrown for under 200 yards in 3 of his 5 playoff games. He's been sacked 11 times in those 5 playoff games as well.
But
he shrinks during pivotal moments, and it's gotten to a point where the ATL,
hold on.
they have expectations. He hasn't lived up to it.
If Matt Ryan wins, it changes our perception of him, right?
Yes.
And if Brock Osweiler wins, if Tom Brady wins, he's still the greatest. It doesn't matter if he wins or not.
You guys are completely missing the point. Look, do we all agree that the quarterback gets too much credit and takes too much blame? That his fortunes, in terms of perception, are inextricably tied into the performance of the team? Because if we do, and generally that's like the received wisdom, then Matt Ryan with no defense, a 3.5-1 underdog to get to the Super Bowl, is simply facing less pressure than a 2-1 favorite to get to the Super Bowl, who's also, I believe, correctly considered the greatest quarterback ever. Just because you've already attained the status does not mean you don't face pressure. It means, as he's demonstrated, he's able to deal with the pressure exceptionally well. But I will give you examples.
What does he lose if he loses?
I will give you examples. Do you think that when Floyd Mayweather fought an opponent, the pressure was on him or the opponent? There was always more pressure on Floyd Mayweather or Muhammad Ali, the favorite. Do you think when Michael Jordan played in the finals, where was the most pressure? Charles Barkley never won. Karl Malone never won. There was never more pressure on those guys than on Michael Jordan because he was the greatest and he was the favorite. He knew how to deal with
the mistake in both of your arguments, whether or not it's Matt Ryan or Tom Brady, is quite honestly, and with all due respect, narcissistic. You assume the pressure means dealing with the expectations from us, that we're going to talk about them, that you're going to say Matt Ryan can't win a playoff game, that you're going to say Tom Brady failed when everything was going his way. You think that's where pressure comes from? You think it comes from chit-chat and talk? Maybe a little, but you want to know real pressure? Lose your job pressure. That's Brock Osweiler. Tom Brady is by the way, I'm serious with you on this. If you have made an argument that Tom Brady is about to go off the cliff, which sounds like about to lose his job. Now, if you make that argument
by the end of next year.
So you're on the Jimmy Garoppolo bandwagon. Can't trade Jimmy Garoppolo.
By the end of next year, I've said the same thing since day one. You can attest to this. And by the end of next year, he will no longer.
If you made the argument here today that Tom Brady doesn't win the Super Bowl this year, he could lose his job, that'd be entirely different. I just don't think you're ready to go there yet.
Do you think there's more internal pressure or external pressure among the all-time greats? Do you think Kobe Bryant cared what people said about him or cared about his expectations for himself? Kobe Bryant was Kobe Bryant because of the expectations he had.
That's
internal pressure.
It's not in pressure.
Yeah, of course it is.
Crazy.
He felt it
Tom Brady, listen,
differently than others.
We're not, when you know good and damn well when we asked who had the most pressure, we weren't talking about who feels that way about themselves. We're talking about those of us. Exactly. We weren't talking about that. You don't change the narrative.
So it's not expectations.
We weren't talking about
and it's
that.
not internal expectations.
We're not talking about
motivation.
We're not talking about internal expectations.
External pressure.
We're talking about us watching who should be under the most pressure.
So basically, this argument boils down
Tom
to
Brady's under no pressure
if a severe underdog has never done it, there's still more pressure on them than a prohibitive favorite because they've done it.
And your argument is it's always the favorite. It's always the favorite.
In this case, it is the favorite. A 2-1 favorite to get to the Super Bowl. You don't do it given these circumstances, more pressure.
I'm sure Tom Brady's about to crumble under that pressure.
I hope everyone
that's
at home
a separate
did too.
issue.
Will, thank you so much for being with us. Always fun. We'll see you soon.